edit. I can edit. I'll be editing for days here.
I'm beginning to feel kind of irritated. I'm beginning to feel kind of irritated. I'm beginning to feel kind of irritated.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to Hell.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. And I haven't made a video in a while. And I'm like watching all these other folks, all these interesting things that have been coming up, questionnaires and contests, and I'm like, I gotta get on it. I've been getting records. Why am I not talking about them to my imaginary friends in YouTube land? So, the first record I'm going to show is a message to all of you. Don't you forget about me. Now, this is the 12-inch with the long version of Don't You Forget About Me on the first side, and a really cool, trippy instrumental on the flip side called a brass band and African chimes. This is the best sounding vinyl cut of this song that you're ever going to find. And it's a long version. It has the intro that's longer. And it's, how many minutes? It's 6 minutes and 32 seconds. That's a good amount. So yeah, don't forget about me. So how come it's been so long since I made a video? Well, because I've been watching everybody else's videos. And also, I've been watching Stranger Things. This fourth season they are back on point. They got a little bit cheesy on the third season, but they are back on point. It's scary, and there's character development, and the callbacks to the 80s seem a little more accurate to my drug-damaged memory. Another thing I wanted to mention. Because of that show is Kate Bush, and I don't have a huge extensive collection of Kate Bush. I just have a couple of things, but you know, I've realized that I've been neglecting her with all the buzz around the song being in the show and going up the charts again. So I think the first time I ever heard of Kate Bush was watching some late night TV back in the day that showed videos, like maybe Friday night videos or something like that. And I saw a video for a song called Wow. And I guess that's off the album Lionheart. But this is a imported 45 of that song. Wow. My second exposure to Kate Bush was the super fortunate finding of this compilation in a bargain bin. This is Harvest Sampler. This came out, I believe, in 1978. It was just sent to radio stations, promo only kind of thing. And it's got, well, the reason I bought it was because it has Point Me at the Sky by Pink Floyd, which is a song that only came out as a 45 in England. It wasn't on any of their albums, and this was the only way to find it in America, was on this compilation, which also includes Little River Band, Tom Robinson, Wire, a band that I became a super fan of, Bebop Deluxe, Focus, and the last song on here is The Man with a Child in His Eyes by Kate Bush from her first album, The Kickin' Side. Produced by David Gilmour, which brings the whole Pink Floyd thing full circle. And of course, this is the album with the song. And just so you know what to look for, that's it. Alright, so I splurged on some new record. Usually I just dig through the bargain bins for used records because I'm a cheapskate, but I actually splurged on some new records that I want to show you and talk about. I just got them stacked up. I'll just pull them out and okay, so this is a band from Athens, Georgia called Maserati. And relatively new band, but they've actually gone through a lot of stuff and been around for 20 years because their first album is from 2001. That's crazy. We're in the future, but you know, just good kind of proggy, post-rocky, instrumental, mostly instrumental. There's a couple of, there's one track that has kind of a vocoder, vocals in it. But this record is from 2012. It is Maserati 6 or 7. This is Maserati 7, so I guess it's their 7th album. Look at this printing. That is really nice, the way that kind of reflects there. I don't know what that's called. But it's a double album. It's on some nice latte colored vinyl. Maserati. One of my favorite albums is Ore by Alexander Skip Spence. And if you're not familiar with that, Alexander Skip Spence was in Moby Grape. He was briefly in Jefferson Airplane playing drums, and he was kind of a Syd Barrett-y character, and he had an episode, and he made a very introspective solo album of songs he wrote while he was in the hospital called Ore. And I found this. This is called And Or Again, and it is a 3-record set of outtakes from the Ore sessions. And I guess they never thought it was possible, but they found the tapes, and it is cool. I like how they made it look like the old school Columbia records. Alright, another band that I always liked, and I saw this record and I grabbed it. It's Black Mountain. This album, Destroyer. It sounds a little different from their other albums, and I did some research. It's from 2018, and they got some new members in the band. I think different drummer, and yeah, a few members swapped around. And it's just as psychedelic as the other Black Mountain albums, but it's got kind of a hard-hitting rock sound to it too. And you know, looking at the Spotify's and Rate Your Music's, this does not get as much love as their other records, but it's got some good moments. And I like the four-way speaker kind of rising up out of the sea like 2001. So yeah, Black Mountain, stoner rock, and you know what that means. It means it's metal
In your lungs.
This band is called Pungent, and the record is called The Blotched Moon. And I had no idea what to expect, but this is really, really, really cool. It's kind of a funky jazz quartet with Nicole McCabe on alto sax, Pau Fimbres on drums, I don't know, Jenny Logan on bass, and Samuel Adams on keys. So 2 female members, 2 male members. The solid bass lines, a lot of like interesting time signatures, and the sax playing is really good. And this came out recently. They talk a little bit about the ice that they recorded it during COVID lockdown, so I'm guessing it's from like 2020 or something. I looked them up on Spotify, and they've got something like 3 listeners. So get on this. Listen to these guys. This is good. I did get a couple of record store day things. The thing is, I don't really clamor for special things and wait in line. I just, you know, it looks interesting. And I got a couple things that I was pretty excited about. This is Speed, Glue, and Shinky. And if you remember me talking about a Japanese supergroup called Food Brain, this is some of the same people. Shinky, the lead guitarist, and I think the same bass player. But this is some just dirty, nasty rock and roll. You know, they're singing about drugs. And I think this is the only time it was released in the U.S. Real nice vinyl here. Look at that. The other record store day thing that I got was another one of my favorite bands. I actually got to meet David Allen a couple times, which it was quite an honor. This is Gong in the 70s, and this is a fancy vinyl pressing of a live set that came out on CD a few years back. It's not 100% high fidelity, but the band is just on fire on this record, so it doesn't really matter. But beautiful, beautiful colored vinyl here. That's disc 1. That's disc 2. I like that green, man. Yeah. So yeah, Gong. If you don't know Gong, they were a progressive rock band based in France. The frontman, David Allen, is originally from Australia. And then he was in Soft Machine, and then he formed Gong when he couldn't get back into England after a Soft Machine tour. I found this. The band is called Tiny Holes, and it's a post-punk band from 1981 But the thing about them, the special thing about them, is that they were from Washington, and a couple of people in the band became the founding fathers of the Sub Pop record label. And nice Peter Bag illustration on the front cover. Not entirely accurate to the music. The music is more kind of cold and electronic. It's not as grungy as this artwork would have you imply. But yeah, this is cool. If you like post-punk and you want to roots of Seattle music, Tiny Holes. The song Billy is hilarious. Alright. So those are actual bought in a store records. I also did some thrift store shopping. So I'm going to kind of pause and get into a couple of thrift store records before we talk about fancy records more. This is All My Choices by Mary Travers, who is Mary of Peter, Paul, and Mary. And this is an album she did for Warner Brothers in 1973. And it's got kind of a 70s rock kind of vibe, the way she, with the band that's backing her up and the production. She does 500 Miles, which was like, the Peter, Paul, and Mary hit. She does a good version of Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Browne. I think there's a couple songs written by John Denver. But yeah, this is kind of cool. Those early 70s, boomer music vibes. It's good stuff. This one I was surprised to find. This is one of those holy grails that years ago I would have no clue what this even was, but thanks to the internets I knew what this record was. This is Adventure in Sound by Danny Guglielmi with vocals by Dina Guglielmi, which this whole album is on YouTube, and one of the comments is like, "Oh, those are my grandparents," which is pretty cool. But first off, this is a record it would be logical to assume was not that big of a deal because it's on Tops, which is like one of those bottom-feeding, straight-to-bargain bin labels from the 50s. And most of Tops releases were like 78s with cover versions of hit songs. How would I describe this? I mean, it's lounge music, obviously. Multiple instrumentation by Danny. So let's see. Okay, so imagine Les Paul and Mary Ford, except that Les Paul plays the violin and Mary Ford is Jessica Rabbit. That's the Adventure in Sound vibe. It's but this is a little bit crackly, but just finding it in the wild, it's pretty cool. But it's got some songs. It's got Peaceful in the Country, Cherokee, Georgia on My Mind, I'll Remember April, and then there's instrumentals with titles like Mosquito Festival and stuff. And it's spectacular. It's a hi-fi spectacular. It's an adventure.
In your lungs.
Another one I was very lucky to find very cheap because old surf records are gold. This is Surf Beat by the Challengers. It's a little beat, but it's surf beat. Cowabunga. Okay, the Cyclones. Brian Ladd and Julie Frith from they were a duo from Eureka, and the album is not called Schlafengarden. Schlafengarden is another artist that they're collaborating with, and it's two long improvised pieces, and they actually kind of get a groove going. It's not as drony as a lot of these industrial records. This is a neat one. This is a neat one. I'm glad I decided to buy this. Entrance, also known as the Entrance Band. Record's called Promises. Nice blue vinyl. It's a 4-song EP, and the songs are good. They got lots of lyrics. I haven't done my homework and read all the lyrics, but it's a nice record. The songs are kind of mellow, and yeah, this, like their other stuff, this kind of grew on me after repeated listenings. Alright, more avant-garde. Contemporary classics for contemporary people. And the first side is Bartok. Is a Bartok piece that I was not familiar with. Sonata for 2 pianos and percussion. And the second side was composers I never heard of, and it included electronics. So there's no way I would not pay $1 for this. It's still got the shrink wrap on it, and the ensemble is Music Players 70. Contemporary classics for contemporary people. Hey, I'm contemporary. Sure, why not? Let's see. This band is called Bird by Snow. I believe they're from the Bay Area. And it's kind of dark 4 in the morning music, but with a lot of acoustic guitars. And I would highly recommend, you know, if you see any Bird by Snow records, just grab them. They're pretty cool. This one I was kind of looking for. Gladys Knight and the Pips. A Little Night Music. And this is one of their kind of underrated records from the early 70s. It's got In the Middle of the Road. It's got a good version of Come Together. And it's just got a 70s funk groove with some good fuzz guitar. And it's Gladys Knight and the Pips. Huh. Rest in peace, Vangelis. This is early kind of prog rocky record of his called The Dragon. This is more in the prog rock Aphrodite's Child vibe than the electronic synthy vibes of some of his later stuff. Cool record. This one I really dig. The band is called Lee Shi with Meet Me Somewhere. It's got female vocals, really well written pop songs. And again, it's got that kind of futuristic 2014 home recorded production sound. My favorite song on here is called Cherry Temple. Really nice vocal harmonies. Okay. And this, I am very happy that I grabbed this because it was not on Spotify. This is Core to the Brave by Richard Youngs from 2010. And when reclusive Jandek came out of his cave and did live shows a few years back, Richard Youngs was his bass player, but he's done a lot of really interesting solo stuff. A huge catalog, of which I have this one record. I think I might have other things he plays on, but whatever. But just really interesting, just kind of noisy, loopy guitar background tracks with vocals that kind of remind me of Guided by Voices. In fact, yeah, if I want to do an inane hybrid comparison, yeah, Guided by Voices meets Jandek. That's what this record sounds like. Yeah. Alright. That's it. I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's links to a Spotify playlist that has a lot of these records I talked about. Also a link to the Danny and Dita Adventures in Sound in the description. So do check those out. And leave a comment, like, and subscribe.
That's it. I'm getting out of here.